Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Rising Network, to today's online webinar event, Take Control of Your Own Happiness, joined by guest speaker Natalie King.
So good afternoon. My name is Natalie. As Lily said, I am a distinguished Toastmaster, confidence and happiness coach, and public speaking mentor. As you can see, I'm with my little dog Pip. She's here with me today, having a couple of moans and groans. She doesn't like the weather. It's pouring down with rain here. So welcome, and I'm looking forward to passing on some knowledge about happiness. So let me take you to my story is how I started on this journey. Now this is a self-portrait of me on a good day. As you can see, I was Miss Positive herself. I was very negative. I did not get any joy out of my life at all. And I was really struggling. There was no silver lining for anything. And I was just spiraling into a negative black hole. I was badly bullied at work, and I just thought that that's what I deserved and just carried on with it. And then in early 2013, as I was hurtling down the A14 at 70 miles an hour, I actually had a panic attack because I was going to work and I did not know how I was going to survive. But I did a lot of self-thinking and searching, and I realized that I can sit and be really negative, or I need to take control. And that was my breakthrough, is realizing that I needed to take control of my own life and my own journey. And that is when things started to change. So it's still an ongoing journey. I'm nowhere near where I want to be now, but I'm realizing that through self-discovery and personal development that I can potentially reach my full potential, and that is what I want to create. But one of the things I had to learn was to get off the negative train, and that is why I looked into happiness coaching. So happiness is it's like a loop. So a large part of how you feel is determined by what you do. And that is determined or motivated by the experiences that you have, which then happiness is a feedback you receive from what you were doing. And then a large part of how you feel is determined by what you do. So if you're sitting there in a constant negative cycle and you hang around negative people and you do things that feed your negativity, you're just going to carry on staying negative. The same can be said about positive or happiness. So anything, this can be related to any experience in your life. And I love this because life is like a cycle. We just go round and round, but how we do that is up to us. So one of the things that I realized about happiness is that it helps to combat stress. But also hang on a minute, sorry. Did you know that when you're happy, your brain lights up and you can have different thoughts, you can think differently, you can be more creative, you come up with solutions you never thought that you had before. And that is something that I really found fascinating. And through that, I realized that happiness combats stress. Now, when I'm talking about happiness, there's actually two levels of happiness. There's inner joy and there's hedonistic happiness. Now, hedonistic happiness is the external bits. You know, that nice pair of shoes that you find on sale. I love that. The nice dress that fits you and makes you feel confident. The great evening that you have with friends or family. These are all hedonistic happiness, and they are fleeting. They are not a solid memory. They come and they go, and you can't keep them. You can't sort of grip onto them. That pair of shoes, they wear out, or they get dirty, or something. That handbag, you then find another handbag. And that is why a lot of people who don't have the inner joy do a lot of shopaholics or have that external. They're trying to find the happiness. But what I'm talking about today is the inner happiness. It's the happiness you create within yourself. It's what helps us to combat stress. It's what helps you to get through that bad day that you're having, or that stressful day, or those colleagues or family members are just driving you insane. It's the inner happiness that helps to just calm. So stress is a worldwide epidemic, and who do you know that is not stressed? And I say not because I don't know many people in my life who are not stressed. They are running around like headless chickens from one thing to another, panicking and stressing out. And that is what happiness helps. It helps us to combat that. We are overloaded with technology and commitments. All the emails that we receive, I don't know about you, but I get about 50 or 60 a day, and that's just before lunchtime. The emails that we get, the spamming or anything, the text messages, the WhatsApp, the Facebook, and there's so much more that I don't have them. But just think of all that bombarding that you're getting, and an instant, go reply, you got to reply, that you can feel that you're on like a hamster wheel, just going round and round and round and round and not getting anywhere. That is where, if you are dealing with your own happiness or inner joy, you can just hang on a minute. I don't need to respond right now. It can wait 5 minutes while I just gather my thoughts. We have the feeling that we need to constantly be there for people. Who turns on their mobile phone first thing in the morning when they wake up? Any hands? No? Yeah, there's one. Yeah, first thing in the morning, turn on a mobile phone before you must probably even had coffee or wipe the sleep out your eyes. The majority of people do that. What are we missing if we don't turn on our phones first thing in the morning? I used to do that. I now only turn my mobile phone on maybe 2 or 3 hours after I've got out of bed and done what I needed to do to get me set for the day. And I get a few messages, and people know that. If it's anything urgent, friends and family have my landline they can get hold of. But otherwise, you will get a response when I'm ready for it. And this constant need to be on the ball or in response or up to date with all the news and everything, think how it impacts our health, our physical, mental well-being. How does it impact you? Are you just feeling like you are going from one next almost crisis message to the next? And they're not that urgent, really. They can live without an instant answer or an instant reply. And it's learning to step away from that, which will benefit mental health. The benefits of happiness. Well, just think how you feel. Just the feeling of happiness on its own has a great positive impact on your brain, on your heart, on your lungs, on the blood flow, just on your physical well-being. The feeling of happy has such a positive effect. You can increase productivity by 30%. When you're running your own business, or if you're in a job, or doesn't matter whether you're just at home or whatever, 30% is a lot to increase by just by the way that you feel. You are able to process information better. Your brain is clearer. The beginning of this week or the end of last week, my brain was just so overflowed, I couldn't process information anymore, and I realized I just got to overload. So I went, turned off my phone, turned off my laptop, just turned off everything, just went for a walk, no phone. The world still turned with no phone, but I went for a walk, and it enabled me to reconnect with my brain, just to reconnect with my thoughts. I couldn't read emails anymore. I was deciphering things. They were just coming up as weird. And I just realized I had done too much, and I needed to give myself a bit of space, a bit of time. When you're in a state of happiness, you can also come up with solutions. You can make decisions that are clearer. So if ever you have a big decision you need to make, stop. Just think, take yourself out, do something that brings that inner happiness in, and you will find that you actually come up with a solution you might not have thought of before. Being happy extends your life. There's been a lot of bits in the news or on the internet about people living to 105, 103, 106-year-olds. And people have said, how do you survive that long? It's been because they've had a happy life. If you're miserable, then you tend to die younger because it impacts your health. Negativity impacts your health in a negative way. Plus, if you are happy, you have deeper and more meaningful relationships. And at the end of the day, that is what we all would like. We as humans like to be part of something. We like to be part of a tribe, a family, friends. It doesn't matter what it is. We need other human contact. And if we are happy, think of the type of people you would attract into your life and how calming that would be if you were all feeling that inner joy. I used to have friends who were very, very negative, and I was in that as well. It was all about doom and gloom. We are in the UK at the moment in a situation politically that is not inspiring positivity, and that has an impact on us as well. So what do we do to counteract that? 6 years ago, I would have been in there digging it up like a saw and just kneading at it, just constantly, and just going deeper and deeper into a black hole. Whereas now, what will be, will be. I'm not in control of it, but I've just got to learn to adapt and to live with it. But I can find a positive way of doing that. And that's what it is. It changes your mindset. It changes your outlook on life. So today it is almost pitch dark outside. It is pouring down with rain. And I've got to go out this afternoon. I have two choices. I can think, oh my God, I'm going to get wet and cold. And it's, oh, I don't like driving in the rain. Oh, it's terrible. Or, you know what? It's great that it's raining. They have places in Australia where they're actually on fire and they cannot control it. So I need to look at the joy of rain. And like Dolly Parton says, go out, enjoy it, and just step in the puddles. Without any rain, you won't have any rainbows. It's not quite how she says it, but she said something similar. And I like that. It's about how you look at situations. This is what I love, is the tools that we can use to create happiness. And it is very simple. You can go from negative to happy within seconds. It is an instant change in your brain. Think of that song that you have from your childhood, from your teens, whenever, that just triggers that emotion in you, that just makes you want to get up and dance and sing. And it's like, yes, that was the best time of my life. Put that on your phone. When you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling like, oh, I can't do this anymore, put that song on, dance, sing, who cares? Just have fun. And you will find by the time you're at the end of that song, your whole mood, your whole mindset has changed. Songs are something you can do with friends, you can do with family, you can do it on your own, you can do it in your car, you can do it in your office, you can do it absolutely anywhere. They are such an amazing tool, and it's one of my favorite tools. My husband tends to know if I've had a bit of a bad day, because usually I'm singing badly to a song that he can't stand. But it makes me happy, brings joy, and I'm usually banging about somewhere and just doing silly dance movements. Because not only is it the dance, is it the music, it's the movement. If you move, you feel better. Places can also have a good impact on you. but they're not always very convenient to get to. I have a place that just really calms me down, but for me to get there requires a plane ride overnight of 14 hours. So I'm usually even more stressed. So it's not always viable. There's a few places in East Anglia I like to go to. And if I know that I need a really good bit of calming, it's a day trip for me. So I plan a day out to the seaside. I love the ocean. The ocean does it for me. But it's not instant because you got to get there. Unless you have a lovely garden. A friend of mine has a stream in her garden. So yes, it's a quicker for her. But not everybody is that lucky. So think of the places that bring you joy, that bring you calm, that just triggers good memories. People, the people in your life, who are they? Can you make a phone call or just send a text and say, let's have a quick chat, or can we meet for a coffee, or just a message, just have a WhatsApp message or something. Just people can really help you to be in a different mindset. They need to be the right people though. And memories. We all have the good memories and the bad memories from our life. But it's the memories. Maybe it's that walk you took with your family, or that walk you took on your own, or that rainbow that you saw, or that party you went to, or the Christmas experience that you had. Whatever the memories are, treasure them. They are there, and you just pick at them when you need them. Movies. Who doesn't like a feel-good movie? I love them. They really inspire me. I watched the other night RGB, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the judge in America. I watched a little documentary about her, and it just inspired me on how she's broken through the glass ceiling that she's had to deal with. And that inspires me. Sometimes I just like a feel-good movie where you just think, oh, this is so nice. This is so Hollywood. This is not true, but I'm just going to enjoy it. It's that you need. I have Under the Tuscan Sun is my emergency girls' night in movie that I have. Usually it requires a box of chocolates and a glass of wine, or 2 or 3. But those, I go to them when I need them. But songs for me are the most powerful because they are instantaneous. And one thing that I find is so important, and that really is long-term, daily, that you do as a habit, is a gratitude diary or a jar. So you can put little notes in a jar of 3 things that you are grateful for that day. And I always recommend that it gets written at the last thing before you go to sleep. Because what you're doing is you are going to sleep on a positive thought or a grateful thought. And that in turn helps you to wake up in the morning more positive with more gratitude. It is very simple. You don't need to write anything complicated. It can be as simple as, I enjoyed the sunshine today. I had a great cup of coffee. Somebody smiled at me. My kids or my grandkids came and gave me a hug. My dogs often are on my gratitude list because they just give me a lot of joy. It can be big things. It can be small things. The size is irrelevant. It's the doing of it that is required. And it's a habit. It's creating a habit. And what you find is the more you do it at night, the more you find things during the day. And your brain starts to find the things to be positive for, the things to be grateful for. You might be just driving down the street, merrily minding your own, in your own world, minding your own manners, just there. And then all of a sudden something will pop in. Oh, that's really nice. Oh, I should write that down. And that will just come to you. And that is how you create the inner joy and the inner happiness. That is what brings a smile to your face if you're sitting on your own. People often look at me really weird because I might be walking down the street and I just start smiling to myself, or I'm driving in my car and in winter it's great because the windows are shut, so I'm singing to a song, or I just smile at something that I've seen that's really nice or I've remembered. But it doesn't matter what other people think. What matters is how you feel inside. And the one thing is, the more you create or look for the gratitude or the positive or the happy, the more it will come to you. And that's where the cycle from the beginning, can you remember in the beginning, is what you do, and it just keeps going. And that is how you just generate the inner happiness within you. And you will find that within your life, things calmer. When you're feeling a bit stressed, you don't feel so bad. Just, you know what, I'm not going to respond to that right now. Let me just take a moment. Let me listen to my song. Let me go for a walk. Let me chat to my friend first because she always makes me feel better. Let me just go down memory lane. Or on a Friday night, there's nothing wrong with treating yourself to a nice feel-good movie that just inspires you. And every day, writing in your journal. Take it with you so you can write during the day. I don't mind how many times people write in it. The only rule that I put in place with my coaching is you have to do 3 things at night before you go to sleep. A lot of my clients say to me, oh, I can't think of anything. And a couple of sessions in, it's like, wow, I find stuff all the time. I'm just always wanting to look. It is that simple. It's just doing it every day and looking for it. It's not hard work. It doesn't take a lot of time. And these are really simple tools that you can do anywhere. In the office, in the car, at home, out, even in public. If you're standing in a queue, you can do them. They are just so effective. I love these tools and I use them all the time. So that is, hopefully some of you will have questions for when Lily takes over. I do have a newsletter that I put in sort of hints, tips, mindfulness and happiness bits, and you can access it via my website at nataliekingcoaching.com. I am offering anybody with the Rising Network 25% off happiness coaching, and that is, I do one session within 2 hours, a block session, or I can do sort of longer sessions on one-to-one basis. But there's 2 different options. But I'm happy if anybody wants to have a chat with me to speak to them. And then happiness starts with you, not with your relationship, not with your job, not with your money, not with your circumstances, but with you. So I hope that's helped. And do you want me to stop sharing now?
No, you're good. You're good. If you could stop sharing, that'd be great. Thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing us a bit of
Looks like Lily's gone.
apologies. I'm really not sure what's going on with the technical side today. Something's happening very strange there. But thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing, a bit about your journey and really what's led you into becoming, a happiness coach and focusing your work on kind of empowering and helping people to find happiness. And it's always wonderful to meet someone, where it comes from a place of where they've kind of needed to create those changes themselves. So thank you for sharing that and your tools and your tips. So I made some notes when you were talking, whilst you were talking, and I really loved what you said about the tools that you shared, the 5 tools. So I just made some notes around one that stood out really was the place. So for me, certainly when I'm in a place of stress or unease, dis-ease, or not feeling particularly happy, my kind of go-to is almost escapism and to go and travel. So those of you who know me, I love to travel a lot, but I find that I can't always travel because I'm working, and I'm not able to kind of jump on a plane that easily. So I don't know if this is helpful, but what I've done to create that place for me is, you know, even in my working space, if I could put the camera around here, I've created a kind of sanctuary here. So in the office we have essential oils on the go, so quite often there's like lavender or some kind of oils there. There's lots of trees and plants, because for me that promotes well-being and happiness. And we've got some lovely affirmations that I've just started to introduce into the office to kind of, again, it's that lifting of that kind of energy and vibration. So it could be your office, or it could be a room that you could create at home. It could be even a small area within a room. But I think it's important for us to find a safe space that we can go to. And that's just a little tip of how I've done it in the office. We've also, I don't know if you do this, so Natalie, you mentioned about the gratitude jar, which I love, and I really love the tip of doing it before you go to sleep because it ends your day on a high. I've just bought these cards. So one is like a stress less.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And one is like, so this is Louise Hay. I'm sure some of you will know her. She's a phenomenal woman. I mean, she's sadly passed away now, but her work centers around self-affirmations, positive affirmation. So what we do is, if we're feeling stressed, or if I'm feeling stressed, you can draw one of these many cards out, and they give you beautiful kind of exercises that you can do as a reminder of things to do.
Oh,
so
wow.
This one's about breath work, which I find is good because when we're stressed, we typically don't breathe deep into our diaphragm. It's very at the top, so it kind of reminds us to do that. And then there's other activities, for example, you know, how to recenter yourself. So it's like shifting that energy and balance, like you had mentioned, to go for a walk, which is very useful. So there are some other like little techniques that you can do. And then these cards are really beautiful. So you can just draw one. And this one is, you know, I'm worth loving, for example. And what it says is, a powerful affirmation is to stand with your arms wide open and say, I'm willing to let love in. It's a safe space to let love in. So it's just lovely little kind of self-affirmation positive reminders. I don't know if any of you are into that, but I thought I wanted to share that with you all.
Yeah, they're great.
So I'm going to open it up for questions. We have got some time now. So if you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. I'm looking at, is Laura, are you tapping to unmute, or are you just, there you are.
I do have a question, Natalie. So I really enjoyed that. Thank you for that. That was very cheerful. And I like your yellow backgrounds and all the lovely flowers. That was lovely. So my question is really about, I think you mentioned about sort of surrounding yourself with negative people at one point. And I find myself a little bit in that situation at the moment. And it's just through circumstance. They're not bad people. It's just people are feeling a bit gloomy at the moment. And for example, my lovely colleague who I sit next door to, she's working really hard. And I said, oh, I'm going to this lovely lunchtime webinar about happiness. And she's like, oh, large G&T in it. And that was, that's her solution, okay, for not feeling happy. And I just wondered if you had a little soundbite I could give her, just to sort of, because I think it's a very easy thing to fall into, isn't it? Just to sort of believe that kind of obliviating is actually equivocates to happiness. And I think, you know, we all know that it doesn't really, but it's very easy just to, you know, go down that route as a sort of way of wiping out, you know, the day's stresses, isn't it? Would you have any advice I could pass on to her?
I find that with can you hear me? With happiness, it's very much a personal thing. It's people are either open to it or they're closed to it. But what I tend to do is people see me and how I deal with things, and that's what interests them. And it's maybe worth just saying, it's not giving her anything to do, but maybe just, if you're working next to her, just every now and again, it was what happened today that's made you happy, or just ask her, oh, what are you grateful for today? Or when she says something, positive is say, oh, that sounds really nice, that must have been amazing. So more point out the positive as opposed to the negative bits. It is difficult because we want to help everybody and fix everybody, but not everybody wants fixing or help, or they're not ready for it. And what I found is that when somebody says something positive, or they had a nice time with their grandkids or their kids or their dog or walk, I say, oh, that must have been really amazing. How did you feel with that? And it just sometimes triggers them to think, oh, hang on a minute.
So modeling positivity.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you are more positive, she will see that in you. So, yeah, it's more of a slow process with that one than just a lovely soundbite.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice, because I think it works both ways, doesn't it? Negativity spreading, but positivity spreading and catching as well, isn't it?
Yes, you're welcome.
I think, Laura, what I found that has really worked for me over the years is I change how I react to people, because I cannot control how my colleagues or my peers or my family or my friends, I cannot control what they say or whether they were having a bad day. Quite often they're probably not very happy in themselves. So what I've learned as an instant fix is more about how I choose to process it and react to it, and almost kind of reframe it as, this is not a directly, this is not about me, it's about the person, and perhaps they're just not in a great space themselves, just to think about it a bit more objectively, especially because this is a slow process when it comes to if someone else is not happy and they're self-projecting, that's a lot harder to work with. But what I would be interested in is maybe pulling Diana into the call, because I know Diana is HR background, HR manager, and so what would you do in this situation if you're in the office or in the workplace and you have those negative people in the office? What would you do from a kind of HR perspective? What would you advise managers or people to do in that case?
Yeah, so I mean, I think if it's a colleague, it's quite a difficult one to really tackle straight on. But I quite like those ideas about focusing people on the positive. I guess the other thing is, if someone's working really hard and finding it really tough, is maybe pointing out some of their achievements and maybe things that they've done really well, to just make them feel good about that behavior and good about something they've done as well. That was just an idea that popped to my head. I mean, I think if it's something that someone that's working for you, you can maybe have a chat with them about the impact that their negativity is having on people around them. But it's a bit harder if it's a colleague or
so I think that's good advice, to sort of point out what she's achieved. Actually, I think that's a really positive suggestion. Thank you.
And Diana, if it's a long term and if it's continuously reoccurring and it's directly impacting on your own health and well-being, as well as it's negatively impacting on team dynamics, what would you suggest to anyone who is perhaps experiencing this at work?
I mean, I think that's something, if it's really if it's an ongoing issue and it's a long-term issue, then maybe something that's worth talking about to your superior, or maybe their manager. But I guess it needs to be handled probably quite sensitively as to how that message then gets delivered and dealt with. So I think, but yeah, definitely, maybe talk to HR or just get some advice from someone else, because if you've got a very negative person in the workplace and it's really negatively impacting yourself and the people around you, that can have a very negative impact and sap on productivity, like you said. If you're constantly having to listen to them complaining, it can be very can bring people down. So I think talk to maybe your manager or their manager as well, if it's on an ongoing basis.
Lovely, thank you, Diana. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts from on happiness?
I did. I had a question. So I really love the tools that you talked about there. They're brilliant. But I think I definitely connected with that statement around that feeling constantly connected, and that can be quite overwhelming. Do you have any other, you mentioned there about not switching your mobile on until like a couple hours into the day. Do you have any other tips on kind of managing that relationship with technology? Because I think that's probably something I'm not particularly good at.
Mm.
Okay, so one thing is we quite often feel that we're not in control of technology. So we are bombarded by phones, computers, all sorts just coming at us. And, you know, I sit on my laptop and I'm getting a ping here and a ping there, and Facebook's going and Instagram's going and LinkedIn's going and emails are coming and going. And so one thing that you can do is gain control of your sort of screen time, basically. So one thing that I do say I appreciate is not always viable to just not have screen time during the day. I make it a point to once a week go screen free. So I'll either do, it's usually Sunday for me because that's the day that suits me. And I tend to do, when it suits me, I will check my phone. Just at the moment, my brother's girlfriend's about to pop, so I check my phone every now and again for the baby news that might be coming. But other than that, I turn off everything. I don't go on my laptop. I don't go on Facebook. My phone is upstairs, and I just take time out and ignore everything. I do watch a movie, so I'm not 100% screen free. But on the tablet that I watch Netflix on, I only have Netflix on there. I don't have Facebook or anything on there. So I'm not being bombarded, and I can actually just enjoy a movie. I go for a walk. I take the dogs for a walk with my husband, or we sit and eat a meal together or something. So it's actually find a time in your life when you can get screen free. Mm-hmm. An hour during the week is fine, and that is time that you just put the phones down, put them on silent, and don't look at them. Mm-hmm. You can do it for a day, you can do it for half a day. Everybody knows what their routines are. For me, it's Sunday. 9 times out of 10, it's Sunday that I am screen free. But I do try sometimes in the evenings, if I'm sitting with my husband, I will have a couple of hours where I'm not responding to anything. That's the plan, but doesn't always work that way. But I know that I have Sunday, so it's taking control. Turn off all the notifications on your phone, on your computer. That might help. That you can then focus on the work that you need to be doing without all these like ping, 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 pings happening. Turn off all the notifications on your phone, except maybe ones that family access. So I've turned off all the Facebook ones and everything. The only one I keep is WhatsApp, because that's how my family communicate with me. So just take control. You can. The world will still turn. I promise you. You turn your phone off, it will still be there. You'll feel better for it. So make time for yourself. Put it in the diary. Right. From this time to this time, I'm off my screen, and aim for once a week at least that you are screen free. If you have a family, make it part of family time. Mm-hmm. The whole family goes screen free. Maybe it's one night a week you have a meal together. No phones at the table. Set the rules in place. And that is, I also, when I go out with friends, I don't have my phone on me because I want to actually talk with my friends. And if they are constantly picking up their phone, I'm like, put that away. You're here with me. They've learned. They do. Does that help?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think it's probably also about personal discipline around. I sometimes I pick up my phone to do something and I get sucked into looking at everything.
Yeah, the rabbit hole.
Life. But so it's probably about personal self-discipline as well. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. So I've got a few minutes remaining. I don't know if anyone else got any questions, or perhaps maybe, I don't know if any of you have any personal tools or techniques that you do currently that you want to share to bring about happiness in daily life.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Who's
Hi,
that?
hi everybody.
Hey, Sonia.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much. I've learned so much today. It's fantastic, great tools. I'll definitely be using a lot of them. The card that you have, the stress less cards, I actually have them, and I have one sat on my desk right now.
Yay.
It says, close your eyes and think of a happy place. So that's obviously linked back to what Natalie was saying exactly.
Yeah.
So close your eyes, take 5 minutes, and take, vision where your holiday, and it really helps you to calm down your breathing and everything. So you do feel so much more productive after that. So really great cards for anybody who's interested. I have a question. So I'm going through a very stressful time at work, quite similar to what Laura was saying, of having, a difficult colleague, and I just can't ever seem to do anything right. And I have spoken to the management and HR. Unfortunately, nothing seems to be getting done, and I'm really struggling, and I am trying to kind of get out of this situation. I feel like there's nothing other than removing myself altogether, so I am looking for a new job. However, in the meanwhile, I'm just trying to manage the anxiety and the feeling that I have from work, and try not taking it home with me, because I feel like it is impacting my life outside of work, my relationship and my mood in the evenings. And it's really frustrating that I'm allowing myself to kind of take the emotion from work into my personal life. How could you like advise me to kind of switch off or leave that separate and not take it home with me? Is there anything you can advise me with, please?
That's quite a hard one, because I feel where you are, and it's sometimes you do have to physically leave a situation if it gets out of hand. But one thing is what your commute from office to work, from the office to home, what are you doing on your commute? So that might be a way that you can maybe be listening to music that will get you out of it. Maybe you can walk more from your office to home, or just physically go for a 5-minute walk to split work from home. It is very difficult when you are sitting in a situation to just turn the brain off and not, but it's what you do in your commute between the office and home that might enable you to switch it off. And again, if you know that you are actively looking for another job or looking for a way out, that might also help you to not dwell on the situation anymore, because you're beginning to take control over it. You're beginning to take control of what is happening. But the main thing is have the tools there for when you feel really overwhelmed or under this pressure. Is if you can put the earphones in your ears, if you need to, and you can go for a walk, take yourself away for a 5-minute walk. But the main thing is between work and home is work out your commute. So if you're driving, can you listen to stuff? If you're walking, can you take a bit longer to walk? Are you cycling? Are you on a train? So use your commute time to just start to shift your brain. Does that help a bit?
Yes.
It is a difficult situation, and you are working to change it.
Yes. No, that's really, really, really good advice, actually, because at least that way I'm having that time to myself to kind of leave it at work, and then when I'm home I've got a bit of a fresh mind almost. So yes. Yeah, definitely really good advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Diana, I don't know, from an HR perspective, again, I'm going to poll you in. Any advice there for Sonia for what she can do?
Sonia, it sounds like you're already doing quite a lot in terms of talking to managers and HR. Is that something that is not getting anywhere, or?
Unfortunately not. It is actually my manager who I'm having the issues with, and because she's been in the company 10 years plus, everybody's siding by her and saying that I need to change my style and to adjust to her management style. For many years we got on, but then there was a merge and she's changed her management style and it doesn't work. It's very micromanaging. So I'm finding it quite difficult to adjust to, but both the vice president and the HR have advised me, saying that I need to change myself. But I've tried, and it's got to a point now where we sit in the same office, we both have our headphones in, we don't communicate. The only communication we have is via email, which is ridiculous considering she sits right opposite me. It's a really stressful situation, unfortunately. It's really hard.
And in terms of kind of your grievance procedures, I mean, has it got to a point where you consider raising an official grievance, or has it been informal so far?
I did think of that, but I'm just thinking, is it worth the energy of writing a grievance when I should be focusing my energy on looking for jobs elsewhere and trying to better the situation rather than dwelling on the situation more? So that's what I got at the point I got to.
I understand that, and I think a lot of people, when I talk to them and they have HR issues, I ask them, you know, what would be the best outcome you could get out of the situation, and therefore what is the best thing for you to do. And I think sometimes people take that choice where they go, I'm not going to fight it, I don't feel like I'm going to get anywhere, I'm going to look for another job. So I think you're making you're thinking about it the right way and what's best for you. But you know, there is formal ways you can take it. So you know, it is an option, but you need to do what's right for you. And if looking for another job is where you want to focus your energy, then I think that is something you should do.
Okay, thank you, Diana. Thank you.
Great advice, Diana. Great advice, Natalie. So on that note, I'm going to wrap this up because we are almost approaching 1 p.m. So thank you again to Natalie for being our speaker for today, sharing us some tips and tools and techniques how we can get more happiness injected into our lives. Thank you so much. Certainly some things, I've made loads of notes.
Good.
Try and kind of introduce them into my daily routine. Thank you everyone for dialing in today. I hope it's helped with you. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope to see you at one of our upcoming events soon. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.